That's why there is no president who is a king, no Congress that's a House of Lords. A judiciary doesn't serve the will of the president or exist to protect him or her. We have three co-equal branches of government. Co-equal.
Hi everyone, I'm Graham Smith and welcome to the channel if this is your first time watching one of our videos. Now I want to talk to our American audience really because it's been a pretty tough time for a lot of you. You've had to watch your president try and lie his way to a second term and then incite riots and an insurrection. And over this side of the Atlantic, American democracy has been looking a bit shaky to a lot of people, with one survey showing a big majority across Europe thinking that the US political system is failing. Of course, there are plenty of political problems for America to address over the next few years. But guess what? Some Brits over here think that they have the answer. Change your whole constitution to be more like ours. Now here's what they want you to do. First off, you need to understand that presidential elections are costly and divisive. So how to fix that? Easy. Get rid of them. That's right, tell Joe Biden not to worry about term limits, or terms for that matter. Make him president for life. And when he dies, replace him with Hunter Biden. And when he dies, with his eldest child, and so on and so on. Now you might think all that executive power should be in the hands of someone who is elected, and you are absolutely right, of course. So, rather than take that power away from the president, just agree that he can only use it when instructed to by the majority leader of the House of Representatives. So the majority leader will effectively become the head of the executive, so the government is determined by whichever party gets the majority of seats in the House. Simple. Now the head of this new House government, let's call him the Prime Minister, will need his own cabinet, and they should probably also be members of Congress. Now some things will of course still need to be done by the President's cabinet, so rather than changing everything and rewriting everything, keep that, but make sure its meetings are only attended by serving members of the Prime Minister's cabinet. That way the new government continues to control all of the powers of the executive. This also gets the presidential veto out of the way, no more deadlock between Congress and President, because of course President Joe I will only veto on the orders of the House leadership. Now then there's the Senate, more divisive and costly elections that you could do without. Now you've got elections for the House. Why do you need to elect the Senate as well? All they'll do is block the business of government and stop the elected House from passing new laws. But don't worry, these Brits I mentioned have got an answer to that as well. Don't elect senators, appoint them. And to be precise, let the majority leader in the House appoint them. And just to be fair, let the minority leader nominate a load of appointees as well. And here's the best part, no terms or term limits. Each senator gets to keep their job for life. Every year, the Democrat and Republican leaderships can appoint whoever they want to the Senate, retired or failed politicians, celebrities, party donors, or even family members. Oh, and if anyone objects, just say you're filling the Senate with expertise rather than partisan voices. That usually works over here. Now you might notice a slight wrinkle in this plan. You will have to get a much larger Senate House because, of course, if you keep on putting new senators in every year, and they've all got their jobs for life, that Senate's going to get pretty big. But there's more, because we can't ignore two important but marginalised groups in society: large landowners and organised religion. So how do we make sure these two groups get represented in the Senate? Firstly, we get a list of America's top 800 private landowners, and we give them all the honorary title of senator. And those 800 would elect 92 from their number to actually serve in the Senate for life. Now when one of those 92 dies, the other 91 will vote on which of the honorary senators will fill the vacancy, an appointment that will also be for life. Now for organised religion, we find the 26 most senior Anglican bishops and give them seats in the Senate for the duration of their appointments as bishops. Guaranteed. Now just to make things a little bit fairer for other religions, the party leaders will agree to appoint senior Catholic bishops and rabbis as well, although unlike the Anglican Church, there'll be no guarantee of representation. Now, of course, like the presidency, not being elected raises some questions about the Senate's powers, so they would have to be curtailed. They can vote down legislation passed by the House, but not indefinitely, and they won't have a vote on budgets. Ultimately, any changes the Senate makes to House legislation can be reversed and agreed against the wishes of senators by the House, which is only fair, really, given that the senators won't be elected while the House will. So there it is, a British-style constitution for the US. There are people over here who think they'll pretty much solve your political problems. All the power in the hands of the House Majority Leader, life terms for the President and the Senate. Oh, and one last thing, written constitutions are a real pain. They get in the way of the business of government and stop party leaders from changing the constitution when it's really necessary to do so. So finally, you'll need to relegate all the clauses and amendments of the US Constitution to the status of federal law. That way, if the House leadership wants to make any changes to it, they can just pass a new law, whether that's reducing the powers of the Supreme Court, scrapping the states, or rewriting the Bill of Rights. And by the way, President for Life doesn't sound great, so let's change that to King Joe. And yes, obviously I'm kidding. The idea of King Joe is a king joke, just like Britain's monarchy. Seriously, there are people in Britain who think the UK is better off having a constitutional monarchy. And yes, what I've described to you is pretty much how it works here. The Queen is our head of state. Technically, she retains lots of executive power, like declaring war, dissolving Parliament, and signing bills into law, but she can only use these powers when told to by the government. Now, she has her own cabinet called the Privy Council, which is where she exercises that power on behalf of the Prime Minister. Only government ministers attend those meetings. They tell her what decisions need to be made, and she says, agreed, and that's done, decision made. And you may know that our Constitution isn't written down in one document. It's primarily made up of legislation that the government can change at will, so long as they have a loyal majority in the House of Commons. And yes, instead of a Senate, we have the House of Lords, which is as crazy as it sounds. Just recently, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson appointed party donors, a former cricketer, and his own brother to the House of Lords. But apparently that's all okay with us because our commitment to democracy is always being compromised so that we can make room for the Lords and the monarchy. Now, in case you're wondering, I'm not suggesting that Britain adopts a US-style constitution. Republic advocates for a parliamentary republic, taking what we have and making it democratic top to bottom. Now, we've done a video on that, and there's more information about it on Republic's website at republic.org.uk. Now, the US Constitution has its flaws. The Electoral College and presidential pardon are two that come to mind, but it's a much stronger defence against abuses of power and outright tyranny than the shambolic, centralised and archaic constitutional monarchy that we have here in the UK. I also want to say this to our American viewers, because you've faced some pretty serious challenges to your constitution in recent weeks and months. Yet the Constitution and American democracy has weathered the storm. Despite all the flaws and difficulties in American politics, a peaceful transfer of power is still a great thing to see and something too many of us take for granted. Now, we do it too, of course. Our governments are elected, but our head of state isn't. 1952 was the last time Britain had a change of head of state. There was no election, just an announcement that the king was dead and his eldest daughter was stepping into the role. Now, the UK and US do things differently. We have different democratic traditions, and both countries can get better at doing democracy. When the UK isn't even committed to the most basic fundamental democratic principles, any Brit claiming that we've got the superior constitution is kidding themselves. So best of luck to America, and one day in my lifetime I hope you'll be glued to your screens watching the inauguration of Britain's first elected head of state. So that's all from me. Bye for now.
And a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. The hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it.
Hi everyone, this is Graham again. Now don't forget you can find out loads more about Republic, the campaign and the issues at republic.org.uk, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and share these videos. If you want to help me make more of these videos, check out the donate link on the website or the get involved link if you want to literally help me make these videos.